here we are. Uh, and I guess I wonder if Margaret's like in China, my other co-facilitator. Okay, Embre is nodding her head there. Um, let's get going with introductions. And then we'll talk about whether this agenda is even the right thing. But I do appreciate introductions of people's interest in this, where not just their affiliations, but why they care about this topic and what they're doing about, or if they're interested in um, low temperature or cold temperature sites for anaerobic digestion. Sorry, I'm a bit off today because I was up until 3 in the morning for reasons I won't go into. So I'm just going to try to do my best here. So let's go with introductions. And how about we go in reverse alphabetical order by last name? Zender. Simone.
Hi all. Sorry I'm off video today and I'm stuck in traffic, so I'm phoning this in today. But yeah, my name is Simone Saballo. I'm the Deputy Director of Zender Environmental, and we're a nonprofit organization out of Anchorage, Alaska. We work predominantly on waste issues, but it crosses over into honey bucket and wastewater issues with Alaska rural communities. And yeah, I've been part of this group for a while, and yeah, really interested in this potential technology to help rural communities. We're working on a lot of interesting projects right now with waste. So yeah, I'm always excited to be part of this group. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to drop something in the chat about themselves, that's fine too, if you're feeling shy or whatever. So let's see, reverse alphabetical order. I guess that would be Robin. And then after Robin, it would be Tim or no, Stella. So Stella, Robin, then Stella, then Tim, then don't ask me to do this. Why did I even do this? Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right, thanks everybody, and hello to everybody, whatever time of day it is for you. For me, it is just gone 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm over in the west of Scotland, specializing mostly in very large scale anaerobic digestion, for which I get paid, and then I participate in this group for which I do not. Best example of that most recently being the submission of a pre-qualification for the group. We can talk about that later. So that's the sort of thing I get involved in, just helping to bring us all together and trying to find cash for actually doing some activities. My own work, yeah, as I say, big industrial scale stuff, but I'm a biologist by background. So that's enough from
That
me for today.
that pre-qualification thing, stick it in the agenda wherever you think. Announcements, updates. I don't know which one that was, the pre-qualification, or if it's a follow-up from what we've already been talking about, you can drop it in there. So yeah, we'd like to hear about that, please.
It's a new item since
Okay, well then that's probably
since we last
announcements.
met,
Yes.
so it's okay.
Okay. Yep. Stella and then Tim.
Hi, I'm Stella. I'm a master's student studying with Dr. Jane Fowler at SFU. My project is going to be on characterizing psychrophilic microorganisms in these anaerobic digesters. So I don't have any background in like engineering or anything. So we thought that it'd be really neat for me to learn from all of you through these meetings. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hello there, Tim Leach. I'm the Deputy Director of Transportation for Launch Alaska, which is a nonprofit based in Anchorage. And I'm also the Coalition Director for the Alaska Clean Cities and Communities Coalition, which is focused on clean transportation more broadly. And then specific interest for me today and on this topic is really in support of a concept that we have with Alaska Energy Authority and some of the fish processors out in the Unalaska or Dutch Harbor area to potentially use some of their fish waste streams with anaerobic digestion as a process to turn that into some form of fuel that could be used for either power generation or transportation. So supporting another colleague who's on the call here, who will introduce herself, I'm sure, too. Thank you.
So I think that's brings us to Eric, right? Eric?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I get my video going here. Yeah, there we are. Hi, everyone. New to this group. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to hearing what everyone's working on, all that kind of stuff. I'm at the National Laboratory of the Rockies down in Golden, Colorado. So low and warm, I guess. My interest is we do AD here on a variety of seaweeds, including microalgae as well. We've had a reactor running for about 3 years now, which is great. Also interested in there's a DOE call right now, funding call that for the Genesis mission, putting in a proposal for that. So always happy to talk AD with whatever you folks have going on. So thanks for the invite and looking forward to hearing more.
Yes, Embray.
Eric, I thought that is
Yell or something. I can't hardly hear you. Okay. I thought you said something. What do you want me to do?
We're
Does
she's
anybody-
pointing in the chat. What is the Genesis program?
Oh, Eric?
Yep. Hi, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Genesis mission. It's all about AI. So the DOE put out a funding call bring AI to all sorts of projects and things across the broad spectrum of the DOE. And so one of the topic areas in there is through the BER, and it's what is it? AI and industrial processes, things like that. And so we're couching AD as an industrial process and bringing AI to that space. So happy to talk more with y'all if you want.
So I put the order in the chat too. So Merrick, I think you're up next, unless I forget my alphabet.
Right. Hi, I'm Merrick Johnston, also new to the group and from Alaska and have been in Norway 16 years and in the transition of moving back, hopefully by the summer. Have worked in oil and gas 10 years and have always been motivated to find synergies between Alaska and Norway, and now specifically northern Norway, northern Sweden, and Finland. So I consult again for the northern Scandinavian company that works with fish waste to biogas, and I was their sales manager, and will be joining them again on the side here starting in a month. But this next month I'm ski guiding off a boat. But I'll be at the next meeting and would love to hear. And what I could bring to the table is different case studies, because along the way you really it's all about your network, and so it'd be fun about you guys and also bring different groups into the project that are of interest. And for me, I would love to just tie more synergies between, especially Alaska and these ones. So it's a kind of an excuse for me to make that connection. But I'm also allowed to share some data through my consulting company that shows different fish byproducts, and yeah, and I'll send that to Alex after this meeting. So
yeah, you came in through Margaret, one of our co-facilitators, and we're potentially having you on for May as a presenter. I don't know if people picked up on that. And did people pick up on ski guiding by boat? Okay,
Yeah.
Picture that. Yeah, I don't have any buoyancy for my skis, but Okay, great. So actually, Kelsey, we already got started with introductions, and you're high, low in the alphabetical order. Kelsey presented last week, last month rather, I think. So we're just doing introductions. How do you come to this? And yes, please go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, my Zoom was doing that thing where it decides to update multiple times in a row. But yeah, sorry for the late join. But my name's Kelsey. I am a currently finishing my PhD student at the University of Victoria in BC, Canada, but also co-supervised and based out of AAVOG, the Swiss Federal Institute for Aquatic Science and Technology. And my research is on septic tank systems and non-sewered sanitation systems, specifically looking at anaerobic degradation mechanisms and sort of the molecular microbiology components behind that degradation, hence the interest in cold climate anaerobic degradation and all things related. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Megan, sorry for the sidetracks there. Please go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm Megan Brown. My last name just hasn't updated on Zoom apparently. And I work for the Alaska Energy Authority as a project manager on their renewable energy and energy efficiency team. And I manage the biomass and energy efficiency programs for this state. As kind of Tim alluded to, I also manage the Alaska Biofuels Advisory Group, and so I facilitate that on a monthly basis. So I recognize a lot of faces. And Eric, I'm glad you're on this call because I was actually going to email you back about your question on the AI and connect you with a couple people in this group. So I'm really glad to see you here. And same with Merrick, also happy to see you here. So happy to be here and pass it on to Karina.
Thank you so much, Megan. Well, I am Karina. I am working in Colombian. I have some experiences with psychrophilia investigation. I used to work with real biodigester, or in other words, digester that are installed in field. So that is my focus. But I also working in the lab with Professor Liliana and Jaime and Jaime. And at the moment, I am working in the lab evaluating the inoculum of aguas residuales. Sorry, let me check. Human waste, sorry I forget the word. And yes, I am working in that now. Thank you so much.
Let's see, does that bring us to you, Nate, and then me, and then Embry?
Yeah. Hey, hello there. So I'm Nate Janiga. I've been a member of this group since 2020. I came into this because of my interest in small-scale anaerobic digesters, working on the Mount Everest biogas project, where we're trying to deal with human waste from climbers up in Nepal. That's all volunteer stuff, and my current job is with Carollo Engineers. I live and work in Seattle, Washington. I'm a wastewater engineer. I do a bit of, water reuse stuff as well, but rural sanitation and sanitation for tribes is something I'm really interested in. So yeah, thanks.
In the interest of time, I'm going to skip my introduction and just say I'm the mystery man. Okay, Embry. Oh, what do you need to do? Unmute you? Ask to unmute. No, unmute you. Make host, make co-host, remove, put in waiting room, report, look at you. Oh, look at chat. Oh, you put it in the chat. Duh, sorry. Thank you, Embry. Thank you very much. Also known as Bryster sometimes. Is that right? Bryster? Okay. And you also do you love tardigrades too? Oh my gosh, tardigrades. Okay, we're all going to get all excited about tardigrades. Okay, thank you. So let's take a look at this agenda. Just to please give me any changes, suggestions, etc. Anything going once, going twice? Can I hear, please? Anything? Okay, let's And as you have ideas for next time or things we need to follow up, please make a note of them and we can work them into whatever we need to do next time. Really fun to see a lot of people from Alaska. And that made me think, oh, maybe we should do like an Alaska session or like a live cast from Alaska or something. Like you can walk around some lab with your Zoom camera on or something. And so announcements, upcoming events. Go ahead, Robin, I guess. RFQ.
Sure, thanks. I was just typing something which you haven't yet seen into the chat, so I'll ditch that. No, it's just to inform the group that an opportunity arose at short notice in respect of a possible grant under the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. It was pretty confusing, but it seemed to fit in with quite a lot of our objectives. It's a US-based fund which does allow international applicants, and it's mostly aimed at internationalizing research work aimed at disadvantaged communities in the United States. So we do actually meet that criteria pretty well. It's not a research fund, it's very much about implementing developments into communities or working against the factors that disadvantage groups, communities, and particular. It does specifically mention First Nation and so on. So we literally only had 3 or 4 days to tackle this. And in the end, I couldn't get authorization for NLR quickly enough, and I didn't expect to do that, so there was no problem with that. But we actually lodged it as the University of Aberdeen here in Scotland, but focused very much on contracting and subcontracting with Chad as a group. Chad, because it isn't a charity as such, we're a collective, but we're not either a business, an institution, or a charity. We just had to find a way of putting it quickly through the university here, but then making it clear that it was really for the activities of delivering what this group is really setting out as its objectives. A, research, but B, implementing that in disadvantaged communities and locations. So in the end, it's a pre-qualification that was done. It might get kicked out, and that's that, in which case we've learned a lot for next year. But the reality is if they like it, they'll come back to us, and there will then be an application round later in the year. And we were allowed to bid for, they actually needed a great deal of information in a very short time frame. But the issue is that, to put it in context, I put a headline figure of 440,000 USD as something which is within their typical scale of applications. And more will be revealed in due course. But a number of us in the group really tried hard to get that over the line. That's what we did, delivered about an hour short of the deadline. So thanks for the input from anybody else and everybody that did join the party for that.
Okay,
So
Merrick's got a question, and or also I'll pile on to Merrick's question. If you at some point have a RFQ, you can drop in the chat, a link rather, can drop in the chat. That'd be great. And I'll also, while I'm piling on, offer if you get further along and are invited to do something, I'd be glad to read things or help draft, or as the hipsters say, ideate. Sure. I will certainly not do any main application just on my own in the way that I did the pre-qualification. I say on my own, but we had feed in from others. But in the end, it pretty much had to be done as a committee of one. The problem with circulating the thing is actually the core of it was a 3-page item, but almost everything was done online. So there isn't actually a standalone document that I can circulate. A few of the group here did receive the 3-pager, which was the core headline of all of this. But even
with a light touch, the pre-qualification came out at, I think, 120 pages by the time I downloaded information, accounts information, policies about inclusivity, non-discrimination policies, all of that from the university. It's hundreds and hundreds of pages, I think, in total. Annual accounts for a big institution. It was an absolute monster.
Stop. It's too painful.
Yeah, exactly. So
Ugh.
that's why the committee of one at this end just got
Okay.
it done.
And so you had a question there from Robin. Sorry, go ahead. What's the timeline? What's the project? What's the title? Any basics?
Let me just, I don't remember it off the top of my head.
No, let's park it then. Let's just get an update
No,
next, or if you want to drop something in the chat, or we just do it next time if you want.
I'll try and get the 3-pager up on the Google Docs. I'll talk to Embry about that. I think the person for that, but the reality is that it's about community involvement and exploitation of R&D in cold and high anaerobic digestion for disadvantaged communities. And the title was about a quarter of that. So the timeline, we're talking about the fall of this year, will be a deadline for a main application if we're invited to submit it. So it'll be by invitation. So I'll try and bring together a group with plenty of notice for that.
Can I ask or pitch one thing if it does get past this first pre-qualification?
Sure.
Because I was thinking about this last time, and I don't have right now the capacity, but if the project goes this way, I think it'd be really fun. As what Tim Leach was discussing, there's a lot going on in Alaska, and it would be fun to use some type of research grant project to tie, case studies, get a little bit more in the ins and outs of permitting, specifically in Norway. It'd be fun, yeah, to dive into Trondheim because they run their buses on CBG, and they were the last municipality that joined the biogas as a feedstock of 55 counties, which is pretty funny when
I'll be right
of just looking into kind of the problematics of implementing of because things can sound really good, but case studying a few communities with the goal of what can you implement or how can you implement it in a specific area, be it on Alaska.
Yeah. What you describe is very much in line with many of the things I do day to day as well, also in Scandinavia. But in this particular case, it builds on the needs of small scale community issues, almost homesteaders, small villages, and so on, which goes back to a lot of the work particularly with Zenda. You're absolutely right, but this type of thing is far more education oriented. So I think this group on the whole needs two streams. On the one hand, education, training, and extension work into communities, and on the other, continuing to fund research. Part of that is to tie the two together. I gave 3 priorities of developing education and training being one. Second is framework issues, including regulatory barriers. And the third one is exploiting technical and deployment issues of technology. And that includes providing examples, but also supporting pilot projects and what we called community champions to develop demonstrator units and so on. So that will come back to us if they like the sound of that. Okay. So I see Embry mentioned about the RFP, but I will work out how to circulate the 3-pager, or I'll email it to a broader group than I've done so far. It's only a small file in the end, but in the end, that's the core of what we want to do and what we represent as our values as a group. but then you have to surround it by hundreds of pages of other stuff in these situations. I'm sure many of us are familiar with the challenges of grant applications.
May I jump in with a thought that perhaps is sympathetic here to some of the project needs that could be located in Alaska, and this might attach, Robin, to the idea that you'd be proposing for underserved communities or disadvantaged communities. Last week, we heard from our one of our senators for Alaska, Senator Murkowski, part of our federal delegation, about the impending crisis for gas prices, fuel prices across the board, as she heard it from a consortium of fuel providers that serve the western part of Alaska. A lot of the communities, about 180 communities on the western part of Alaska. And high gas prices, high fuel prices, whether it's the diesel that comes in for the powerhouse in these diesel-dependent communities or the diesel that goes for heating the community buildings, the homes and such. That's not a foreign concept. Most communities have that on an everyday basis. So we're talking about, some communities that have over $10 per gallon, US dollars per gallon fuel, which makes things pretty expensive out there. The new bit of information that Senator Murkowski brought was that there's also a credible threat to actual supply disruptions this summer due to the ongoing geopolitical conflict. That might actually mean that there is at no price the ability to deliver fuel to some of these communities or some portion of these communities. So there's about 140 million gallons of fuel delivered each year to the Western communities. The fuel providers haven't identified how much of that will be unavailable for delivery. But what that would mean is taking those disadvantaged communities and putting them into absolute crisis mode, where there is no fuel for heat or electricity for the winter. So there's kind of that impending sense of doom, to put it lightly. I'll put a link in the chat that gives some good background with an article, but I think from a contextual perspective, if that's useful for proposing projects, whether we're kind of in the early research project or more later deployment project scale, I think there's a real need in Alaska. On an everyday basis, absent this geopolitical conflict, there's a need. But I think especially now, there's a real need from a humanitarian perspective.
Do you mind if can I respond to that? And Alex,
Certainly.
if you don't mind taking a little time, despite the fact that I'm based here in Scotland, all of what we've done, particularly through the NATO funding, has been very much focused on the Alaska situation as being if you like, a priority driver for exhibiting these types of technologies. And in fact, one of the themes that we have had, but it went onto the back burner, was very much being able to have rapid deployment of small-scale AD in disaster relief. But because it tends to be thought of as a warm climate issue, then it hasn't been our highest priority. I agree. I mean, we're talking about really over here in Europe, we are talking about situations where we are pretty much talking about switching off fuel supplies and so on. And island communities and so on are going to be really in a bad situation. So much of our oil and gases systems and fuel systems are dependent on fuel themselves for delivery. Massive problems. So I don't see your email anywhere. Both Merrick and Tim, I'd appreciate it if you put your emails in the chat and we can talk about this offline. I'm sure over the next few days. That would be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I had to step out there. Thanks, Tim. And that was, I assume, under our announcements. We still on announcements? Any of the other upcoming events or announcements? Okay, let's move on to updates or follow-ups from last meeting. Is there anything people want to report back here? And we could stick it under the upcoming items. And one upcoming item, of course, is a prototype in Whitehorse. Is there any follow-up, for example, on, well, I've already put a separate agenda item. Any updates, follow-ups from the last meeting? Anybody? Not that I assigned or reassigned anybody anything, but if there's something people want to say about last time, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll move on to the Whitehorse project, and whoever would like to, or no, Kelsey Shaw. Any follow-ups from Kelsey or about Kelsey's stuff?
For the
Microbial
gas.
ecology of septic and holding tanks and the potential for methane production. Woo, yeah.
Do you mean on the presentation from last time or
Yeah.
from?
Is there anything that you want to follow up on or say or anything?
Oh, I don't think so. I think there was a lot of good discussion that came out of the presentation and no updates in terms of results to share. Um, Maybe once I finish the PhD, there'll be more updates. But yeah, if there's more questions, though, I'm happy to answer questions. But from my end, no updates.
Thank you so much. Actually, it was pretty interesting. Not exactly up my alley, but I was pretty interested in it. And I do look forward to hearing more for sure. Because, I mean, it gets a little bit to this issue of like, is there going to be energy from these digesters? Therefore, what's the potential? Like, we just talked about impending crises. So, the kind of research you're doing is actually potentially really important to apply, given the millions and zillions of gallons of septic and holding tank waste that's out there.
For sure, yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, kind of pivoting towards the Whitehorse project, it sounds like it's quite possible that feedstock that would go into that system would be potentially from like on-site sanitation systems as well. So interesting. I'm interested in what Jane is proposing for her research team and what they're going to look at for tracking the community and the gas production.
Yeah, as Embre said here also, she put something in the chat. So are you just like assigning her more work? My God, I put a thought bubble there. Okay, great. Thank you. I think I would say let's get on to the prototype digester in Whitehorse. I'll start with a ridiculous little update. I actually inquired about potential fiberglass tanks for future usage, and I copied Nate on that because it's a company where I used to live in Bellingham, Washington, and I don't think we heard back, Nate, but I'm still interested in that as an option. I don't have any information. Okay, onward. Whitehorse. Who's up? I guess. Who's the person that's working with Jane again? Is that you, Stella?
Yeah, it's me. So we have a tentative timeline that we were discussing of when we're actually going to start procuring the equipment and then start building the digester. So the timeline that we have right now is we'll be procuring in May, given that the design will be complete April 30th. And then we're gonna start constructing in June. Yes, and then to speak on a little bit about like what we're actually going to be hoping to do, like what Jane is hoping to do with the information is we're going to be conducting metagenomic analyses on the samples taken from the digester. We'll be using stable isotope probing to see like who's actually eating what. Um, and then we are seeing how we can measure gas composition and stuff right now. Yes. So we have a GCFID in another lab where we can measure methane, but we are looking into like other devices where we can measure the composition of gas and the flow of gas.
Do the people up there have some of that equipment already? Those biogas Billy Bob, I can't remember the name of that company.
Yeah, I think last time when we were talking about the gas measurements, they mentioned that they do have like some sort of water displacement type
Oh,
method
that's
for
right.
gas
Yes.
measurement. Yeah, but then we wanted to see if there's anything else that we can use to actually see how much gas or what's being produced in the gas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deficiency in their project, is that they had too many leaks to measure the gas. Oops. So yeah, all those detail-y things kind of matter. And yeah, that's instrumentation is good to know.
Yes, I can pull up a meeting that we just had a meeting about specifically the gas devices. There's one, I'll put it in the chat. It's a portable gas meter that was recommended to us, but it only measures gas composition. Um, and then on Dr. Liliana's side, they also mentioned that they have a gas meter from bioprocess that measures flux and composition. So those are the two that we are thinking about as of right now, but we're hoping to talk more about it with the design group tomorrow.
I have a question, sorry. Last week, Jamie shared with this team the inventory for the materials by digester. So I would like to know if it's easy to get these materials in Whitehorse.
I think so.
Yes, it's
Uh, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I can't really speak on like Whitehorse, but well, from my understanding, a lot of the material can be
it's easy to
procured,
get.
I think.
Okay.
I think. I hope so.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, let me just say one more time. There is a Walmart in Whitehorse. Are those people from the biogas? So the team meeting is tomorrow at 11. Are those people from the biogas, those two people going to be there? Okay. Embre is giving us the big thumbs up. Thank you. And Kelsey, that's nice to know that you use these same meters, huh? With
Yeah,
GCFID. What's GCFID?
it's so if you take and Stella probably knows more than I do, but if you take the samples in like little glass vials, you can ship them back to your lab where you have a gas chromatography flame ionization detector, I believe is the full. But the which is great, but then you need something in the field typically to confirm that you're actually getting gas flow, which would be what the handheld meter is for. And I did the exact same technique just with septic tanks instead of a digester when I did my gas measurements as well. And these gas, like the handheld gas, portable gas meters are used a lot in landfill gas monitoring. That's why they're so common and relatively inexpensive.
Great.
So Stella,
Yes.
yeah, thank you for the rundown on your project. That's really interesting to me because as I kind of mentioned, the Genesis mission and the AI, and that we're proposing a project of bringing AI to AD. That's exactly what we're interested in and proposing and looking at is the metagenomics study, the analyses. We want to combine that with sort of the operational parameters, temperature, gas output, but we want to bring fluxomics, metabolomics, transcriptomics. We want to bring all the omics to it. So we get to, push all that through an AI model, and see if we can't. The ultimate goal really is microbiome engineering, right? So we want to try and build on the ADM1 model, right? And see if we can't push that to help us guide AD to be more productive, et cetera. So if you don't mind, I'd certainly like to keep tabs on your project, et cetera, and see how things are going. That would be really great.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be really cool to see how we can use AI in this, especially because I'll be the one who's running all the metagenomics, all the
Yeah.
omics things. So I'll definitely keep in contact with you during
Okay.
this process. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Thank you.
All the omics. I'm gonna that's gonna be my new whatever. All the omics. I need what do the hipsters call it? A meme. Meme. We need a meme for that. Um, cool. Well, that's great. So this is actually giving me some ideas for future meetings. And as I said, when you have ideas and stuff you want to do next time or follow up on, please make a note, and we can put a pin in it for a future meeting. Um, so I guess I'm ready for any follow-ups that anybody noticed. I'm not going to assign anybody anything, but did anybody assign themselves something or want to talk about what we definitely need to do for next time, other than like who's our speaker and what's our agenda? Like, are there things that people are working on they want to say that we're going to do or somebody else is going to do, or asking who's going to do it? I mean, we're a community of practice. We're not exactly a work group, but I don't like to lose track of things that we're trying to accomplish. Yes, the next group meeting is Merrick's presentation. That's next on the agenda is what do people want to hear from her? And then I'm going to tag on to that some ideas for other future topics. So if you look up Merrick's LinkedIn, it's pretty interesting. She said she was doing sales, but she also has a bunch of Jaime just joined us, I guess. So, hey, Merrick, there you are. So what do people want to hear from Merrick? You left and then you came back or
And I
something?
haven't been that active on LinkedIn, so I'll try to update that life too.
Okay. So you know kind of what we're up to. I don't know if you've looked at our YouTubes or our
Yeah.
community of practice. Yeah, so I was interested, I kind of was intrigued because you have both a technical background and or some kind of technical something or other, and it sounds like you did, sort of community development work. So that's always interesting to me. I used to work in that same space, basically with wind power and other technologies where I'd have to do a lot of outreach, but I had to do it about technical things. So I think that's interesting. Like, I'm not sure what the situation there is compared to the communities we're working in, but I think that would be an interesting aspect to hear about. And um, yeah, and whatever the technologies you're seeing that are out there, I don't know. What do people want to hear? That's my thought. Please, everybody else weigh in. Merrick, thoughts about what would
Yeah,
be a good fit?
I think it'd be nice to send, so I'll send you the samples that I'm allowed to share. Because I know getting actual data can be difficult when it's not published. And so I'd like to start there and then first do that filter with you and then have it in a way that's usable for others and make sure it has all the information that's needed, that it's as most applicable and, a standalone. Um, and then from that sample set, it would be fun to use this group. It's nice to always find the win-wins. Um, so with case studies, there's certain people that
Okay.
I'd love to bring into this and then already have, to co-present because that's always the best way to get more data and more information that's applicable is when you actually have the people that can supply it continuously. Um, so then after I give you the samples, I would like, if it's of interest. So there's one project in particular that I was involved with, and I want to know the status of it. And so that's Row Biopark. It's because of regulation. In 2009, things are different. You're not allowed to landfill organic waste in many European countries. And then you're not in now you have to have enclosed composting. You can't have outdoor composting. And this is completely, and there's been dispensations for it for quite a long time in the north. But now this is Norway. But now they're not allowing. They're closing all the permits for the outdoor composting, and having an indoor composting is just not feasible for many small communities or areas that are in the north. So now it's made the community not by choice. Like when something like this happens, it brings a lot of communities together that are not used to working together. Um, and they have had to come together to make this biogas park. And it just passed the FID, but I'm not really sure. They've had some interesting consultants and different things going along with it. Uh, so
Let's
that
do
would
this.
be a fun
I
case
love,
study
so just
to,
go ahead.
yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, first of all, it's not just me. So my co-facilitators here, if anybody wants to be a co-facilitator and help organize meetings and do agendas and all that stuff, please step up. It's me and Embry and Margaret. So send me the stuff and then Embry and Margaret too. And then we can do, yeah, we can take it from there. It's just some outline, but I love, tell me what other people think. Sample data, sure, sounds good. Case studies, I love them if they're real case studies, like you were mentioning, following up on how's such and such doing, right? Because often case studies are like, well, this has been this new thing we did 3 months ago, big whoop. I want to know about things that break. That's exaggerating, but case studies are often puffery. And I would love to get sort of reality. So case studies, good. And I see Embrace also, rah case studies, biogas park, and better than Disneyland. Oh my gosh, we need to have like, put these people on Zoom to walk us through this biogas park. Just kidding. Or not. So what do you think? Is that what do people think? Data, case studies, and I'll circle back to the whole group and just
And then the other is like, especially with fish waste. So there's some companies that, um, you know, I thought they were gonna take off 5, 6 years ago, and they have these small scale commercial or and they haven't. So it'd be fun to see why aren't these companies that have shown that they have good results and they have an off-the-shelf product been able to actually implement it. So I think that's also something that I'm very curious on, and I would love to bring those people into this and use this network as a way to, um, yeah, that's the one I sent you.
yeah, I was
I
asking you
know
about that
Antec.
one too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, but Antec, I know why they didn't. What's going on with them? So another one that I'd be more is uh this- I'll put it in there. It's
yeah,
like,
sure. And it's a little
but
bit, this might be a little bit far afield from this group, which is not necessarily on the commercialization side very much, but I do want to know who's trying what and where it's working and
and
not working.
who's getting traction and who's not,
Yeah,
and maybe
exactly.
there's some that should be getting traction, but they just aren't as good on the business side.
Sure. Tim has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, piggybacking on that barriers piece, Merrick, that you're talking about of where some of the technology providers haven't progressed. Thinking about kind of the ecosystem as a whole, Disneyland that we're about to go to. If there are elements that you're able to identify, whether those are policy or regulatory elements that allowed that to happen in that location, if there are, other key ingredients like cost of energy or anything like that kind of at that ecosystem level that you've seen as critical to have these projects move forward or these types of projects move forward, that type of stuff I think would be useful because then we can overlay it on, whether this is in Alaska or other jurisdiction, we can say where in the country, where in the US, where in the globe might have similar conditions to then hopefully line up, project concepts or do some deployment.
Cool.
That sounds good. And yeah, so I'll go with Alex first. I think the sample data is a good spot, to get to know each other and understand and then move from there. Because, for applying for things it is nice to have um, data and then have published a combination of published and unpublished data, strengthens.
Nice. And when you're sharing data, what do you mean? Just like volatile solids going in, methane coming out, basic chemistry kind of stuff, feedstock and mass balance, or what?
Yeah, so all of the above on that. I'll show
Okay,
you like the different,
sure.
um, yeah, of what I have without
I might have to turn it into a Sankey diagram.
yeah, you can do what you want, but then yeah.
Yeah. I'm super interested in nutrients because that's my thing here with agriculture is what's the NPK going in what forms, and what's the NPK going out and in what forms. And then, how can you what do you want to do on the digest state to make useful fractions that can be, not just low BOD, but land applied usefully.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it. We'll be in touch. It's very interesting today. Thank you. Parting thoughts, burning desires, national anthems. We could turn the recording off and now people could rant. Okay. Same bat channel a month from now. And always good to see people and to hear. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Nice meeting y'all.
Yeah, hey,
Yes, same
thanks.
here. Thanks for being here, everyone. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Stella. That's super interesting.
Thanks, Em. Bye now. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Sorry, Alex, can you see my message?
Oh, let's see. At the last meeting, you asked about some energy data, and Jaime and I were looking into it. If you want to see it, let me know. Yes. Yes. I emailed him in some detail, and now I don't know if I heard back. So I don't have it fresh in my mind what the question was, but basically, I was trying to understand if we allow a digester of a certain volume to freeze solid, then the analysis that Margaret and others did said 834 kilowatts to change phase, kilowatt hours, 834 kilowatt hours to go from solid at 0 degrees C to liquid at 0 degrees C. So I was trying to think if there's, what is a average production at, say, a psychrophilic temperature with long enough of a retention time from the number of families that would fill such a digester. You see what I mean? Like, how does the 834 compare to the potential kilowatt hours that of thermal that is at least theoretically available? And he gave me some numbers actually, which I can work with the numbers he gave me. But I did ask him some questions, so I think maybe I was still missing something. Do you want to set up a time to talk, or maybe I should go look at? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, basically, you asked for us about how many kilowatts per family we can get of the biogas for a family. So we research about psychrophilic temperature for 15 Celsius degree, and the optimal that will be 35 Celsius degree. But the yields are low because also let me show you a table that we prepare. They will be more clear for you about, sorry, you can listen to me.